Pickaxe.
Hello, and welcome back to the Review of Death, your fortnightly home for Doctor Who news and reviews. I'm Matthew Toffolo. I'm joined, as always, by Billy Garratt-John back in his homeland. Well, not homeland, but back in his new land
in my
of New Zealand.
Homeland.
Yes.
Yeah, it's miserable and grey and dreary as opposed to the beautiful heat wave that, you know, not that that's natural and we shouldn't be lauding something that's wrong, but... Man, it was beautiful to be back, and it was so good to see you and Johnny and Annie and hang out and do our bits and bobs in person.
Yeah, it was lovely.
It was amazing, and but we had a great time. But it's nice to be back and sort of settling back into a rhythm of things now that the jet lag is starting to wear off a little bit.
Yeah, with your new Matthew Sweet glasses.
Indeed, yes, I'm feeling very bookish today.
Did you go into the opticians with a still of him and went, I want these?
Do you know what? Nearly. Because sometimes he wears the really thick, like Harry Palmer, Michael Caine sort of style ones.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I'm brave enough to go for a big, thick red pair. I might end up looking like Dame Edna. But no, I was happy with what I went for, and I feel a bit Clark Kent. Clark Kent meets Matthew Sweet, which is all we can aspire to be at the end of the day.
Certainly, definitely. So, news. Is there any news since the last time we spoke?
There's a bit of news. Well, we've talked a little bit before we started recording about it, but you went to that fantastic looking Peterborough Doctor Who museum.
Yes.
That exhibition that's been set up. So yeah, tell us about that, and you fortuitously ended up on a day where Sophie Aldred was attending.
Yeah, it was insane. We'd booked our tickets, and then a few days later, it was like, on Facebook, and Sophie Aldred was doing a chat there. So we're like, well, we're there as well, so we might as well go to that too. Met a few Rodders as well in the audience, so shout out to you guys. Thank you for saying hello. It was fantastic. The chat with Sophie Aldred was really nice. Heard a few different stories, some that we'd heard before, but some in a bit more detail, which was really nice, and learned a little bit about her upcoming book, all about Ace's Jacket, which has been written by a chap called Sean and has several contributors. Lee Sullivan was there yesterday as well. Comic artist Lee Sullivan, he's done some stuff in there. It was really, really cool, and I got a chance to flick through the book, and it looks really, really fun. So definitely worth checking that out. But yeah, the exhibition itself was just insanely big. We'd sort of gone in and thought, okay, this is a little size, and then there was like, no, there's another room, and then there's another room which is like even bigger, and it was just more and more stuff, to the point where at times it was like, I can't take in all of the little bits and pieces that they've got on display. But fantastic replicas of things. We were lucky enough to speak to the curator, Derek Handley, and his wife, and they took us through things and told us about how things were made or how things were obtained. There was a lot of stuff that was actually used in the program. Stuff from Marco Polo was there, and the Ark in Space, and John Pertwee stuff. Planet of the Spiders spider that I don't think had ever been on display before. They are really scary in real life. You look at them in the episode and you think, that's not too scary. If you look at them up close, the one that they had like these little mandible things. They were like little transparent mandibles. It was creepy. It was like, actually, if they'd have shot this in a different way, this could have been really, really freaky. So there's some really, really cool stuff, and just amazing workmanship from all the people who worked on the replicas. Shout out to Marley and Amelia, who made my Vok robot head. Their Sutek was on display. They had a fantastic Sutek display where they had their full suit. They had Marcus Scarman as the Sutek's servant on display there as well. You press a little button, Sutek's eyes lit up, which was really cool.
Fantastic.
The guy's hand was under Sutek's ass. That is
the attention to detail that you'll only get in an unofficial fan curated museum.
It was so good. And someone literally, I mean, we were lucky. We were like the last ones of the day. So there were very few people going around. So it was like we basically had the place to ourselves. But someone did turn around, look at Suchak and went, "Oh, he's got that hand under his ass." It was like, yeah, there we go. So,
beautiful.
Yeah, really, really great. So yeah, it's there till November. If you have the opportunity, go to Peterborough and have a look. And they've got a new thing coming on Tuesday that we've missed out on, which is a replica of Tom Baker's season 14 console, the brown secondary console.
I saw.
Yeah, so apparently students from Peterborough University, I think, have made it. And they've done a really good job. Sophie Aldred has already seen it, but it was under lock and key while we were there. But yeah, just some really, really cool stuff. And Johnny and I were like going around saying like, "I want that Cyberman next. I want that Dalek next." So
I bet you were. I mean, not that you've necessarily got the room for it, which Rodders will attest to in a couple of weeks' time when you see the Toffolo collection tour on Patreon, which was great fun to film. We should also, a couple more sort of ticketed things that people might want to spend their money on. Tickets to the BFI screening of Terror of the Zygons go on sale to the general public on the 7th of August, and that is on the 20th of September, that event. And there'll also be a screening of Chris Chapman's Ian Marter documentary, and Philip Hinchcliffe will be there in person for a Q&A.
Oh, lovely. Very nice. Love Philip.
There was that pop-up event at San Diego Comic-Con, which has been and gone, the Black Archive. I couldn't quite tell if that was a permanent or semi-permanent residence there, but I think it's tied to the Worlds of Wonder exhibition, which has moved there to the Comic-Con Museum from New Zealand. So that is going to be in situ until next March. And then I guess we'll see where the TARDIS moves to after that.
Yeah, because I guess that Black Archive thing must have more life beyond San Diego Comic-Con, because the amount of like social media stuff they were pushing behind that, and like the website and all this stuff, it was like, that feels like a lot of work for what is going to be there for essentially a weekend.
Well, that confused me a little bit, because when I looked at the press release about it on the Doctor Who website, it ended on the 27th of this month.
Yeah.
So Sunday or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, odd. But there's stuff in there that I imagine they've just pulled out of the Worlds of Wonder Museum.
Yeah.
But it might also tie into, at some point, if they bring the Black Archive thing over to the UK, to this Fugitive Doctor event that's going on.
Must do. That makes sense, because the whole story of... Yeah, sorry. Carry on.
Yeah, it's a multimedia event. Matt's getting ahead of himself here. This is the most excited he's been about Doctor Who in 7 or 8 months.
7 or 8 years.
So yeah, Circuit Breaker is this new multimedia event in a similar vein to Time Lord Victorious and Doomsday. It's going to take place across comic books, audio dramas. I guess there'll be novels as well, live event experiences, and digital. I think there's a video game, a mobile game developer that's tied to provide some content to it. I guess at a point in the show where we don't have an incumbent Doctor, and even the actor that took over from the previous actor might not even be playing the Doctor.
Yeah.
I think the Fugitive Doctor is very well placed to be the headliner of this event, and it makes it far more intriguing than having some no-name comedian who's only famous for being a beg on Twitter. In all fairness to her.
That was so bizarre.
That was odd. That was very odd.
Who thought of that? I mad. Yeah, I mean, like you said, this has got the draw of actually having a Doctor in it. I mean, I shan't be dipping my toe into it. Time Lord Victorious was enough. Then that thing last time happened, that Doomsday thing, and that was just an embarrassment. So, you know, I as much as I'd love to, I just can't. I can't bear it. And I think the trouble is, I think I'd be more interested in it if it was just about the Fugitive Doctor and her unseen era than trying to drag her into, she's connected to all these little bits of other doctors and all that sort of stuff. It's like, I don't want...
That's the nice thing about the Fugitive Doctor, is that she kind of exists in her own pocket universe, and that, she's had obviously interactions now with 2 doctors, but they've been since that revelation. So the others are kind of free from that knowledge.
Yeah.
It's one thing that from Eccleston onwards, you have this War Doctor thing, and then from Whittaker onwards, you have the Fugitive Doctor. But trying to tie it into continuity with older Doctors, I think, is just going to muddy it even more now.
Because it's just like you're going to have the Doctor being like, this is a Nestine control unit. I wonder what that is. You're like, we're just going to get this every time. 15 times, so we're just going to hear this. I wish they'd have just said, here's a story that happened when she was working for Division, or when she was on the run, or I think that is an area that I think is ripe for the picking, and obviously Big Finish are trying to explore that themselves. So I don't know, but hey, who knows? It might be cool. I guess we just have to wait and see.
And wait and see we shall. The last thing to talk about that I've got on my list anyway is that Billie Piper, who we're going to be talking about a lot today, was at Florida SuperCon, and she appeared alongside Christopher Eccleston. I imagine they spent a lot of time talking about the old days and Big Finish, which I think is imminent, isn't it? Their first release together. Yeah. But she was asked, obviously, about her role in Doctor Who.
Not the first one, forward. Not the second one, but this new new role.
This new one. And she said, "This is such a minefield. I really have to engage with how I answer this. All I can say is I was approached very last minute, and I can't talk about in what capacity, but I found it very emotional to film, and I think it's a great ending. I found it quite moving. It was fun to film because it had a cloak and dagger feel. So yeah, I have to lie a lot about anything to do with Doctor Who, it seems." So she's probably as clueless as the rest of us as to what's going to happen next. But it was nice to get a bit more of a confirmation about the whole last minute thing, I suppose, because that's something that's been rattling around for a while.
It was all rumour, wasn't it? But, to hear it from the horse's mouth, no offence, hear it from Billie Piper's mouth, at least we get that confirmation. Billie trying not to laugh there.
I'm not saying anything.
Not saying anything. No, bless her. Yeah, so who knows what's going to happen with that. But, we'll see. Right.
Now you've offended her, let's heap praise on her. Army of Ghosts / Doomsday.
Yes.
Which is part of our season finale mini arc that we've been talking about. This is one I think Johnny actually raised with you as an episode he'd quite like to watch again.
He did, and then when I mentioned it to him the other day, he was like, "I don't care."
He scarpered. So it's just the two of us here today.
Just the two of us,
But that's fine.
Best. I still haven't forgiven him for the other week, so...
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised you're not sporting a black eye coming on here. It's hilarious. I was listening to it back, and I was like, I don't get why people are saying you were drunk on that.
No, I'm not drunk. I'm no more drunk than I am now.
Drunk with power.
Drunk with power, yeah.
All right. So, Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. I was very excited to watch this. Very much looking forward to it.
Do you know what? I came into this, I don't know why I was in such a foul mood, but that's just me. But I was like, oh, come on, let's just get this over and done with. And I came out at the end of the first episode and I was like, fuck me, that was great. How nice it was to watch Doctor Who and be like, God, that was good.
Doctor Who.
New Doctor Who as well. New 20-year-old Doctor Who.
New old Doctor Who.
So I thoroughly enjoyed watching this one. Annie and I sat down and watched it, and we had a whale of a time watching it.
Brilliant. I did too. And it unlocked so many memories of watching it on the night. I want to preface this by saying I was not aware of anything to do with Billie Piper leaving? Was that like trailed in the press ahead of this episode?
I think so. I think we knew she was going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I remember the shock of that pre-credit sequence, Planet Earth, this is where I was born, and this is where I died. This is the story of how I died, or that monologuing.
I remember the shock of seeing that same bit of footage of the camera closing in on Earth for the umpteenth time.
You've got to save them any way you can.
Yeah, and that lift shot turns up again later in the story as well. Yeah, I saw it. It's in my notes. I think it's in Doomsday. I've put the lift shot. That lift shot again. There we are.
Get your new series bingo card out now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember being quite shocked at hearing that, thinking, oh, is Rose going to die in this one? And also the appearance of the Daleks at the end, which we'll get to in a bit, because that definitely deserves time to talk about. I don't remember that being spoilt, although I know that it sort of was at BAFTA. Didn't they bring Dalek Sec out on stage, and Russell, they edited it from the final show. I really hope they find that and put it on the collection set of him going, it's the fucking black one.
Yeah.
So that was an accident that sort of spoilt the appearance of the Daleks at the end of this season. Kind of, sort of, not really, but yeah.
I can literally remember watching the BAFTAs or it being on and seeing that Dalek come out and going like, oh, well, that's a new Dalek that's going to be in this series.
Bollocks.
Yeah.
So that 2005-6 theme tune still hits different, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's good. It's a cracker.
I don't know what it's about. I don't know if it's the mix of it, but from series 2 onwards, it doesn't quite sound the same. And of course, you get the new version in the 4th series.
Yeah.
But there's just something about those first 2 years, that title sequence and theme song, just absolutely
perfect.
So, Rose and the Doctor land on the Powell estate.
Yeah.
Lazy git. Is there not a fucking washing machine on the TARDIS? Why do you have to bring your shit back to your mum?
That's what I've put down. Why? What is going on there? What is going on there? We get a bit of a reprise of Song for 10 as well. A slight different variation on that, which is nice. It's a really nice opening, that, because it obviously sets up how far the Doctor and his relationship within this family has come from series 1, where he's like, I don't do domestic, to, now he's getting a snog off of Jackie Tyler. And, although he's not 100% happy with it, he doesn't mind too much. So that's all nice. And obviously we have that little montage, don't we, at the beginning of the episode, before we even get to the Powell estate. We've got that bit with an alien planet, one of the very few alien planets we see in the RTD era. It's quite good as well.
Looks great. You can see why they keep using it on montages and highlight packages.
Yeah. And obviously Graham Harper as well directed this episode. His name popped up and I was like, oh yes, of course. So this was shot back to back with the Rise of the Cybermen, Age of Steel, in that same block. And it does, this one obviously has a very nice through line narratively from that story, because obviously a lot of that stuff comes back. And a lot of the design elements with the pods and things come back. So I guess it made a lot of sense to get those costumes used while they still had them fresh and new.
Absolutely. So Jackie's expecting Grandad Prentice round at any moment. She's lost her marbles. A ghost walks into the kitchen. They're all over the estate. And we get one of those classic RTD channel hopping moments with a reference to Ghostwatch. I'm not going to say it's the same show.
Yes,
but, somebody at the BBC was looking out for us there by including that. There's the Ghost Weather Report. Trisha, I married my husband's ghost, which actually is probably lifted from an episode of Trisha, that headline. There's the bit, and of course, the iconic Peggy Mitchell telling Den Watt's ghost to get out of her pub.
Yeah. I can't believe she did it. I can't believe they got her in for it. But fair play to her. What is the name of that presenter who is presenting Ghostwatch? I remember him. When I saw him, I was like, I remember that guy.
Oh, no, I didn't clock him.
and I was like, what did he used to present?
Somebody will tell us. If we get time on a tangent, I'll dip into Google and I'll find out.
Yeah. What I like about the setup for this one, I like that it's the Doctor and Rose are on the back foot. You know, Jackie and the world around them are used to whatever is going on, and the Doctor and Rose are like trying to play catch up. And it kind of reminded me of stuff like Web of Fear, when they turn up and London's already been invaded or everyone's evacuated. So I like that. That was a nice little idea to get the ball rolling.
And that lovely bit where Jackie tells the Doctor he's spoiling the idea of the ghosts being departed loved ones who are coming back by doing the technobabble explainy bit, which was really nice. So it turns out Torchwood, not that one,
same music though.
Yeah, that's the debut of the Torchwood theme, popping up all over the place. They're engineering these ghostly appearances. Torchwood headed up by Tracy Ann Oberman as one, Yvonne Hartman, who I have to say I think is one of the best parts of this story. She's great.
Alan Sugar's not in it though, despite his building being used and his title sequence getting a bit of usage in it as well.
Freema Agyeman.
Yes, I forgot she was in this. Yeah.
What a lovely surprise. So she's playing Adiola, who is working at Torchwood. There's a scene where she's keenly flirting with one of her colleagues.
Yeah.
And they go off. I mean, they say they're going to have a snog, but come on now.
Yeah. You'd have a little snog. You'd have a snog in that corridor, wouldn't you?
He'd have a snog in that corridor, but I think, Gareth tries to take Adiola off for a quick knee trembler in the off in the marked off parts of Torchwood.
He says, "I'm just checking to see if the painters and decorators are in the area where the painters and decorators are in."
Christ alive! And so he goes missing in the recesses of the.
Pardon.
Pardon? In the recesses of the dark, cavernous regions of... I'll stop there. And do you think the Cyberman reveal comes a bit early? Again, pardon the expression, but do you think... Do
you think that his chap is revealed too soon?
The Cyberman's a bit premature.
Yeah. Do you know, I love that sequence. That whole sequence is shot so perfectly. That feels like a very classic Doctor Who. I mean, we've got a classic Doctor Who director at the helm, so he knows what he's doing. But that whole sequence feels like it could have come from any 80s or 60s Cyberman story. It's lovely. But I do agree. I think it does spoil it just a little bit too soon, because then the revelation of like the Cybermen later doesn't, and all the use of the theme tune, because you keep getting the little hints of it, and you're like, okay, well, we know it's the Cybermen now. Maybe they could have kept it a little bit quieter. But I mean, I guess as soon as you start talking about the ear pods in people's ears, you know it's the Cybermen. So, I don't know. It's a cool sequence. It looks great. I love it.
So, sometime after Freema or Adiola, Freema's character, and Gareth return to their shifts, partly converted, and we also see Raji James as Dr. Singh in that big chamber room, monitoring a suspiciously Dalek-y bronze sphere. Again, I had absolutely no idea the Daleks were going to be in this. And I remember watching on the night, I think a friend was coming over to stay, and I've told this on the podcast before, I'm sure, but I had a bowl of rainbow drops in front of me. And I was munching them through the course of the episode. And I went, I bet the Daleks are in there. And he went, nah, it's a Cyberman episode. I went, nah, I bet the Daleks are in there. We'll come to the conclusion of that story a little bit later on. That was going to be my question. Like, what did you think was in the ball? But I thought straight away.
Yeah, fair play to you.
It's the Daleks. So one of the kind of central parts of this story, which sort of gets dropped in favour of, I guess,
just interrupting ever so quickly. actually, the Daleks were spoiled a bit more because in the trailer for this episode, they used footage from Doomsday, if I remember rightly, and they used that shot of the woman running and getting exterminated. And I remember we were like, well, Daleks are in it then, aren't they?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Funny that. I wonder if that was them just sort of planting a seed, because they would have known, like, you know,
it's
watching the edit.
It's so iconic, you know, that whole look. You know, you can't say, oh, it's just another thing. Yeah. You know, another laser blast. It's like, no, that is obviously the sound, the look. It's Daleks.
They must have known. They must have just been planting the seed there. So, yeah, we've got some action in the TARDIS while the Doctor and Rose, well, mainly the Doctor, is trying to figure out what these ghosts are all about.
And I say it every time, the TARDIS lighting in this series, spot on, beautiful. That green, moody look looks so nice and weird and alien.
Never the same again.
And then, particularly when you get to the end of this episode where you have the bit with Catherine Tate, and then when you watch it in Runaway Bride, they reshoot it and it's all brightly lit, and you know, and you're like, oh, okay.
Shame. It is a shame. Yeah. And it is the kind of end of that Vaseline smeared sort of look for Doctor Who as well.
Yes, it is. It is. I got to say, watching this episode, particularly the stuff in like the main office bit of Torchwood and
where
also
the breach is.
Where the breach is, and also in the room where the sphere is, it does look a bit cheap.
It does look a bit cheap. There's a couple of ropey shots when Dr. Singh is looking at the sphere, and the kind of there's a weird artifacting going on. But I don't know how much of that is like an upscale problem, because that was the other thing that really struck me is, wow, this is standard definition. Like when you see the captions that they've obviously redone come up on screen at the start of the episode, those are blindingly crisp and high definition. But whenever there's a lot of bright lighting on people, it's literally just like they've cranked the sharpness up to try and get it into some kind of HD state. I'm sure we'll see an AI upscaled high definition version of all this stuff when it comes out on the collection sets in the next 40 years.
They've already made some shots in season 13 look weird and rubbery, which apparently is not indicative of how it looks on the set, according to
apparently
people
so.
on Twitter.
It's a lot to do with the encoding on YouTube that smoothed it out and stuff. Yeah. But it's crossed. Inevitable that, you know, that's going to happen to the new series when it comes around to it. Anyway,
but there was a real like 80s feel, I think, with the lighting, because in that Torchwood office, because it's so brightly lit, like you said, and the walls are all white. It's like this could be an 80s episode of Doctor Who. I could imagine Peter Davison doing this stuff in place of David Tennant. I think you're right.
It's that studio floor cheapness, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weird. And I think maybe like compared to what we've been used to with like the Ncuti Gatwa stuff, like you compare that to the unit, big bloody base that they've got. The scale suddenly feels a lot smaller. But it's funny, you know, when we watched it at the time, this was as well, other than the movie, it was like as big as Doctor Who got. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's still impressive. You know, there's still some nice elements of scale in the story and in the execution of it. But on a sort of more human level, there's this interesting theme that crops up when Jackie and the Doctor and Rose are together, which sort of gets dropped in favour of a slightly more simplistic reading of the Doctor-Rose dynamic. So Jackie says that Rose started looking like the Doctor and asks if she's ever going to settle down, you know, what's the crack there? And
those sideburns she's been growing in.
I think you do get moments where Russell's obviously trying to show a duality, you know, and a shared sort of consciousness between the Doctor and Rose, and in the way that they kind of bounce off each other. But that particular reading from Jackie, that they started looking like each other and all that, doesn't really go anywhere afterwards. It just becomes, are you ever going to come back, or you're just going to stay with him? And it beds down into that requited / unsaid love story that obviously is the emotional crux of the last 15 minutes of Doomsday.
Yeah, because she goes on that little tangent, like, oh, and you're going to be old on some alien planet, but you're not Rose Tyler anymore. You're not even human. Oh, shut up, Mum.
Yeah, what's that about?
Put a sock in it.
It doesn't quite link up with the way that Rose treats her mum by the end of Doomsday, which I think is quite something. We'll get to that. So the Doctor attempts to track the ghosts and catches Torchwood's attention.
Yeah,
which is
I love his doohickey. That's great. His little
that gear
with the stuff. Yeah,
that was a toy, wasn't it?
That was a toy. Yeah, it was a cool toy. When the ghost gets caught in that thing, he starts making Cyberman-y noises as well.
Yes, it does,
which is nice. They don't really move like Cybermen, do they?
No,
they walk like normal people until they materialize, and then they can only stop.
Then they're suddenly like fucking huge things. Oh,
my maneuverability is suddenly worsened as I've materialized.
Maybe it's the. I'm trying to explain this. Maybe it's the skeletal human element underneath the armor that's coming through as the ghost. But
these are these shitty wankery ones where they're just brains in suits. They keep saying it, don't they? It's just a brain in a suit of armor. Oh, poo. Come on.
Speaking of little flourishes of audio that kind of tell us what's coming up or what's going on, there's a little bit of the Doctor Who theme, I think, when Yvonne races to tell her team that the Doctor's inbound. I think there's a little bit of ooey-oos going on in the background there.
I'll have a look.
So Jackie's still on board the TARDIS. They arrive at Torchwood, and we've got that bit with the 10th Doctor accidentally grabbing Jackie out of the TARDIS and introducing her as Rose and going on about she's old and she looks rough and all of that. And I just thought that's not at all in line with how this relationship has been put across to the audience up to this point. You're just being an arsehole.
Oh, but it's good fun though, isn't it? It's a laugh.
It's a laugh. I have to say, I think the 10th Doctor is at his absolute worst in this story, but with the gurning and the
do you think?
Allons-y, all of that stuff is like.
It's the first Allons-y, isn't it?
This is the antithesis of what I like about it. What was that?
This is his first Allons-y, isn't it? In this episode,
it is the first Allons-y. It is
first of many.
But all of the. Have you got someone called Alonso who works here? It's like fucking get on with it.
Yeah, shut your gob. Come on. He is a bit. I think this is at the point where the confidence in his character, like in terms of the writing and the performance, has like really built up, and they're like, oh, we know we're onto a good thing, so we can just, it's the same thing that happened with Matt Smith's Doctor. Like series 5, he's a lot more toned down, and then series 6, they're like, let's just go fucking mental with it. After that giraffe dance, they're like, oh, we can do anything. People love it. So there's a bit of that. I do like that whole sequence when Yvonne Hartman's like, there's all that mock applause and all that stuff. And then she says, you can't hide anything, not from us. And she goes suddenly serious. And then she snaps back into like the cheerful stuff. That's really good. That's a really nice moment.
Yeah, there's an insidious side to Yvonne's character, isn't there? Because Torchwood was the thread all the way through this series, and obviously first mentioned or introduced in Tooth and Claw in the second episode. So they mentioned that this is the organisation set up by Queen Victoria. They mentioned the Torchwood Charter or something like that. Yeah. And the idea is they intend to use all of these bits of alien tech that they've collected over the years in defence of the new British Empire from aliens, nondescript aliens. And I think that's a pointed
it's clever,
bit of dialogue, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Yvonne, she's this slightly insidious character. She's smiling, but there is a kind of undertone of, I don't know if it's a fascistic kind of thing, but you know what I mean. There's something going on there.
There is I think a strong element of that. There's that veil of cheerful chirpiness, but underneath it all, Yeah, I mean, this kind of like with Series 1, the arc for this one is very successful in how it starts tying everything together. Like you said, like the werewolf thing. Even going back to the Christmas invasion where they mention, we blew the Sycorax out of the sky. When we were watching it, and this is a bit for later, but when they go to the parallel Earth and Pete sort of says, Harriet Jones is the Prime Minister. And the Doctor's like, we better watch out for her. And he was like, she did the right fucking thing. These aliens were obviously going to come back and try and attack the planet. She did the right thing by blowing those bastards out of the sky. And it's like, why does he give us such a hard time for that?
He's got to be better than now, isn't he? Mightier than now.
Yeah. Not bad.
So Yvonne basically reveals that, to the Doctor anyway, we've seen this prior, that Torchwood is behind the ghost thing. There was a breach in our universe, and they built Canary Wharf to reach the breach. That's the wall at the far end. The ghosts have been coming through. On the other side, the Doctor explains, is the void. This is a little bit later on, but there's that fantastic scene where the Doctor explains the kind of the breach and the cracks with the broken glass, which is fantastic. That's a great little bit from David. And then the bit that follows shortly after that as well, where he kind of gives up and tells them, go on, carry on, keep doing your work, and stares down Yvonne without saying anything, and she stops the scheduled ghost shift, which is another really, really nice bit. While all that's going on. And
all that stuff in the laboratory when they go to visit the sphere, and he explains what the sphere is. Dr. Singh
gives people like a bad vibe because it doesn't exist and it gives off nothing. And
the little reference to enlightenment as well, because he mentions the Eternals called it the Howling.
Oh yes.
Nice little callback there. That's the sort of callbacks that you need. That even a fan might hear that and miss it, but if your ears are attuned, you might go, Eternal, that's a little...
There's a little one earlier to the Gelth as well that Rose drops in as well, which is nice, referencing recent. And she's like,
could it be the Gelth? He's like, nah. And she's like, okay, I'm
shut your
clearly
face. Yeah. Don't be stupid.
What are you talking about? Gelth? Yeah.
Meanwhile, Adiola and Gareth, they're back in sort of Torchwood Hub, and Adiola commences what I can only refer to as whatever the Cybermen think sexting is, saying, do you want to see something good? Which wouldn't entice me, I have to say.
No.
That sort of workplace dalliance would get you sacked these days in any case.
Not even a wink. Not even a winky face.
Not even a wink.
Yeah.
And you're out.
See something good.
Out.
Good what?
So we've got the whole thing about the void ship and there's something inside.
Rose is not very good at hiding in that TARDIS, is she? When the TARDIS drives by, she basically got her head out the door. Hello. Put your head back in, you silly cow.
She's been fairly absent from the story up to this point with all the stuff going on in Torchwood, but she leaves the TARDIS, she dons a lab coat and explores Torchwood. Yvonne explains the void ship came through the breach at the same time that the ghosts started appearing. And when the Doctor gets her to stop the ghost shift, Freema and her cyber-converted pals start robo-sexting each other and activating the cyber-sext. They start activating the ghost shift themselves. Yeah. Rose grants herself access to the room containing the void ship with a psychic paper. How does that work on a computer lock when it's all about perception of somebody else's eyes?
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
Unless it's got like a chip in it that just is a universal opening thing. But then why does the Doctor have a sonic screwdriver?
Yeah.
Think on that, people.
Psychic QR code.
Psychic QR code. So it doesn't work on Dr. Singh, which I thought was quite a nice little moment there. Yeah. But he locks down the room because there's an intruder And what's the last thing you want to see when you find out you're locked in a room? Is to find out you're locked in a room with Noel Clarke.
Yeah.
Who
Mickey,
turns up.
yuck. That's what I've put in my notes.
Yeah.
And
I think we'll try and skirt around his involvement in this as much as we can.
I hate what they do with him in terms of, like, suddenly he's like the big hard man. He's gone from being like the fucking wimpy one to now he's like the big hard. Like, yeah, it's all right, babe. We defeated him once. We do it again. Fuck off, you knobhead. Yeah. There's
that great bit as well when it's speeding ahead a little bit to Doomsday, where the Dalek Sec says, identify which one of you is the least important. Designate the least important, which is a great bit of Dalek. I think you can tell Russell really enjoyed writing Dalek dialogue. Yeah. He's great at it. Designate the least important. And Dr. Singh sort of steps forward and puts himself, makes a case. It's like, but you work here. You know the inner workings of this building. After Rose has said that she knows the Daleks and the Time War and all that kind of stuff, immediately makes Mickey the least important. Immediately designates Mickey. Like, Dr. Singh is second, then Rose, and now Mickey's toast, surely.
Hard luck, Mickey.
Hard luck, mate. So, we've got all the breach stuff and the ghost shifts is all going on. And then with the orb shaking and waking up, which looks like a setup to something from a David Lynch film.
It's a great double Jeopardy cliffhanger, this, isn't it?
That's what I was about to say. The ramping up of tension from this point. Yeah. It's probably about 10 minutes of screen time. Yeah. And it doesn't let up that suspense. No. It's absolutely fantastic. And it's not even just about the final reveal or reveals, because you get the Cybermen appearing via cling film slicing, which is another fantastic reference.
Superb. Beautifully directed as well. Like, all those shots just look, like we said earlier, they just look
really nice.
Really good. I love that they put like a razor blade in the glove of that Cyberman so it could slice down it. So cool.
Really, really good. So they rip through the plastic sheeting. Yeah. And the Cybermen start the ghost ships revealing the spectres that we've been seeing to be impressions of 5 million Cybermen bleeding through from Pete's world via the breach.
A foot doesn't look like a boot. A footprint doesn't look like a boot. That's a nice little line.
Yeah, that's a nice little callback to what you said earlier. The void ship opens. The Cybermen say they've got nothing to do with it, and it's the Daleks. It is an all-time cliffhanger. Like I said, not just the final few seconds, but the sort of 5-10 minutes building up to that moment is a really masterful building of tension. One thing that did slightly break it was, I think the obviously we have the to be continued and then the next time trailer at the end, which was a bit too long for me. Maybe we're just used these days to not seeing a next time trailer and the kind of waiting during the week for the trailer for that,
the next one,
weekend's finale. But the other thing was, did you hear a load of banging and clanging over the end credits?
Don't know.
Someone's going to have to, I don't know if that was just my copy, but there's weird sound effects, almost like they kind of moved them in the timeline away from the next time trailer, and they were going to drop them in afterwards. But there's some clanging sounds over the top of the over the music. I don't know if that was just my version, but somebody will have to let me know. I tried to look for it on TARDIS Wiki, but nobody mentioned it.
Interesting. Cyber Leader as well. Our first time we get a Cyber Leader in the new series. That was another thing that got spoiled. In fact, 2 things from this episode got spoiled, cyber related. The Cyber Leader, because I remember it was used on the cover for something like a Doctor Who sticker book that came out around the time that like the first half of the series came out. And I remember seeing it and going, that's a Cyber Leader. That wasn't in Rise of the Cybermen. They're coming back later on then, surely. And then the other thing was the gun in the forearm.
In the wrist.
Yeah, because that was listed on toy websites as the Cyberman figure. And I remember seeing it and being like, oh, that's cool. And then they didn't get seen in Rise of the Cybermen. And it was like, oh, okay, so that is going to have to turn up at some point later in the series.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they went so good with their spoilers. I mean, we say that. The whole of the last series was basically spoiled on Reddit. So
True. Worth saying, though, that preview copies of the episode omitted the Dalek reveal at the end.
Interesting, yeah.
So it was nice they kept that secret. Do you remember the Radio Times cover for this week's
Was it
episode?
the football one?
It was the football one, Matt. It was the final of the 2006 World Cup that was transmitted on the week that this went out. Do you remember who played and what the score was?
Oh, feck me. No, I ain't got a clue.
Shameful, Matt. Italy beat France 5-3 on penalties.
Hey!
Unbelievable. So yeah, we got the football themed Radio Times cover, which was fantastic. I remember having that at the time. So Doomsday, we get the recap, like a slightly truncated version of Rose's monologue from the top of Army of Ghosts.
Yeah.
And we're right back into it, just as we should be. Rose yells the Daleks into silence. They decide to spare her and her comrades because she's said, I know about the Daleks, I know about the Time War. And they prepare the Genesis Arc, which is a fantastic piece of design.
What did you think was going to be in the Genesis Arc?
That the Time Lords constructed it. They must have nicked a Dalek designer for the construction and the fabrication because it's very Dalek.
Very Dalek, yeah. And the plungers open the things. They're literally ready for... Yeah, it seems a bit weird. What did you think was going to be in the Genesis Arc?
I mean, I probably would have thought Davros at the time.
Yeah. But
another fantastic toy.
Yes, another fantastic toy. Yeah, that was really, really cool. Yeah, very, very cool. The Cyberman battle is great as well. All that stuff with the fighting the soldiers.
Yes.
The bit where they bash through the door of that family's house and you can see the bit of fishing wire pull the door down. That's great fun. Really good. The only thing that makes it a bit poo is the gun noise that the Cybermen gun makes. It's like
there's a lot of noughties era laser gun toy sound effects used in this story.
It's so generic, and it's like, the Daleks have obviously got a proper radiophonic workshop special jobby. And it's like, could nobody be asked to go around and get the proper 80s Cyberman gun noise? That would have been wicked. That's where you cut
corners. And it's funny because the sound isn't consistent as well. Like through all the different battles and scenes, there's different laser noises going off. Whatever. Also, there's a bit where the Cybermen break into the Ghostwatch studio. I wonder if they ran out of money and weren't able to animate the electric shocks onto the presenter because the way the Cyberman grabs him is like, but odd that isn't included on that scene.
I thought that one just was like, I like to strangle people.
I like to give people nice shoulder rubs. So we have that really nice scene where Dalek Sec tells Rose, Mickey, and Dr. Singh that they've got to designate the least important. He steps forward, saying he's the man who's been monitoring the sphere. I know everything about Torchwood. And then, obviously, as I say, designates him as one of the more important people in the room. So the Daleks decide to three-way sucky him, and he gets turned into a withered husk, which was a great scene on broadcast, and still the way that his face goes red, like it's kind of bursting at the seams as they put the suckers over the edge. Really cool.
It's really cool. It's kind of let down by the guy's performance. He sort of goes... He's
every
a bit like,
scene is let down by that guy's performance. He's not great, is he?
He's not great. And I think the same for a bit we missed earlier, when they pull the earpods out of Adiola's ear, when they all die, they sort of all go, and it's like, no one's really pained, and I wonder if that was like, we can't show it like really hurting them because that's too scary. I feel like there's a little bit of maybe BBC censorship there, perhaps.
Or you could blag it as they're partly converted, so the Cybermen have taken away pain.
Yeah, maybe.
So they're just reacting to being shut down or whatever, you know.
Yeah. But it's quite camp, isn't it? When they pull that thing out of her head, and it's like all sloppy and floppy.
There's a lot of camp in this story.
There's a lot of
because
camp,
the Daleks and the Cybermen engage in a bitch off between one another,
which is a TikTok sensation. Did you know that?
So what I've heard, yeah.
Yeah. Boba at work was sending it to me and was like, have you seen this on Doctor Who, this TikTok thing? I was like, well, I don't do TikTok, but because I'm an old man. They love it. They love it. And like people lip sync to it. It's like people sassy lip syncing to.
I mean, it is. Stuff. It is ultimate sass. It's great between the two sides, and the Doctor's watching on, and it's kind of the central gimmick of this second part is finally, after all these years, we're getting Daleks versus Cybermen, and there's lots of sequences of them fighting each other in Torchwood and out on the streets and so on. Does it live up to the imagined hype of all these years?
No, because the fucking Cybermen just get their asses handed to them. The Cybermen don't do anything. Yeah, they're shit. They're really bad.
They're terrible.
It is very disappointing. I remember watching it and being like, why are they so poo?
I don't know. It's like they've shot themselves in the foot by making the Metaltron so strong.
Yeah.
That you can't really nerf the Daleks now.
Yes.
But you also don't give the Cybermen an advantage except for the numbers advantage, but it clearly doesn't mean anything. It doesn't work. It
literally means nothing. There's also some very fun, janky CGI in that bit later on where they go through into the main hangar-y bit with the Genesis arc, and there's like the Torchwood troops and the Cybermen working together. And you can sort of see, okay, these four at the front, these are real people in Cyberman suits because they're stood up. But then you've got a few on the sides. One's like knelt down and stuff. And you're like, wow, I don't think that you'd be able to do that in an actual suit. But it's cool that they animated it that way. But then when he gets shot, he like crumples, but it's like he gets like sucked into himself. It's like the physics of it is so weird. Yeah. And I was like, I watched it. I was like, oh, I've never spotted that before. And we round it back and I was like, look at him. He like falls into himself like a crumpled piece of paper.
So yeah, the cyber guns just do not work. Massively ineffective. It's 5 million Cybermen versus 4 Daleks, and it's an absolute wipeout. Yeah. Jackie's taken away by the Cybermen. She's lined up along with Yvonne to be converted, who does eventually get converted. And it's not the last we'll see of her, but we'll come to it in a minute. Jackie sneaks off. You've got all the naughties toy laser gun sound effects going off left, right, and centre. Yeah. And then Jake and his parallel Earth preachers turn up. All right, Doctor, it's fucking right, can you hear, lad? They blast the cyber leader's head off. Yeah. There's even some white fluid spurting out of his neck, which is a nice little
nice little
reference there.
Cyber
Jake
milk.
Then takes the Doctor back to Parallel Earth Torchwood, which was shut down by the preachers. Parallel Pete then appears, and
Parallel Pete.
That whole bit on Parallel Earth, I know they've got to set it up because it becomes very important later on. Yeah. But I could have done without all of the, like we shut it down like the People's Republic came up and they were like, nah, lad, you can't be doing that, no. And
when that's slightly Jamaican there.
Yeah, man. No, they wipe they scrub Torchwood off the face of the earth. There's actually quite a nice bit about how the breach has been causing rapid temperature rises and sea levels going up and all that kind of stuff, and they need to scrap it. But apart from that, Pete's world is living in a sort of utopia. Yeah, which sounds lovely.
Good for them.
Rose has a moment where she flashes back to Dalek, revealing that the Arctron energy kickstarted the Metaltron into working, and the same thing would probably activate the Genesis arcs. That's why they're keeping her and I guess in theory Mickey alive.
One thing that annoys me, going back to the Cybermen and the Cyber Leader getting his head blown off, is when those two Cybermen then turn around and have a chat and they're like, "Oh, Cyber Leader Bill's been deactivated. Oh shit, well I better become Cyber Leader. I'll just go onto the network and I'll just copy the files from .z network memory file and just copy and paste it across into my hard drive." I hate that they try and make them like walking PCs. I hate delete. I mean, let's just get that out of the way. delete annoys the fuck out of me, and particularly during the fight scenes where you've got Daleks saying exterminate, and then you've just got delete, and it's like, oh, shut up. Stop trying to make delete happen. It ain't gonna happen.
Do they, is there a Cyberman on hand with a bucket of black paint to paint his handlebars?
That's what I want to know, yeah.
Does another Cyberman not step forward and say, actually, I applied for this? I know it's an internal application thing, and I know that, you've been casting around for this job for a little while, but I actually applied for this months ago, and no one's got back in touch with me about it, so I think I'm probably front of the queue ahead of you, John.
And I've painted my handlebars
I've got my own paint.
Yeah.
So there's a whole thing going on Pete's World with how they explain that the little buttons they've got, which come back in... Is that the same technology that Ruby uses in the finale to warp back and forth? Or is that... No, it's from Martha's finale, isn't it?
Yeah, that's from thingy, yeah.
Ignore me. I'm not a Doctor Who fan, clearly. Yeah, they've been punching holes in the two worlds, and that's causing all the problems on Pete's World, and that this bridge is something the Doctor's going to have to basically fix. Which is the big crux of the last sort of 10, 15 minutes of the story. They get back to our dimension, or the Doctor's normal dimension. The Doctor waves a very shiny sheet of A4 to the Cybermen and surrenders. And then, in the room with the Genesis Ark and the Daleks, they're about to shoot Rose because she mentioned the Doctor, and they get all funny and get all
that's right,
frightened and twitchy about it, and they're about to kill her, and the Doctor swans in, doing all that, and waits for the cue, blows the doors open, and in come the preachers and the Cybermen. I want to see the other side of that door before the Doctor blew the doors off while they're waiting for their cue. What are they talking about? How did they parlay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's true. And Annie said that when we were watching it. She was like, wait, what? Why are they suddenly... She said, it feels like there's a scene missing here. And I was like, well, I guess it's just like implied, let's work together, It
is
the enemy
weird,
of my
though.
enemy is my
it
friend.
Does feel... Annie's absolutely right. It does feel like there is a scene missing there.
It is funny.
So,
I think that battle sequence is all a bit weird as well, because there are those shots of like the Daleks and the Cybermen just against black, and then when they fall down, and it feels very weird. It's like this
it looks like they were missing shots, and they just went during the edit, and they went in and just did a few bits.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a fun sequence. We get that the Doctor makes that reference to the fall of Arcadia as well, and about one day I'll come to terms with that. Don't we hear about that in the 50th anniversary? Was that like a little minisode, the fall of Arcadia?
Something like that.
Was that little Gallifrey bit where that man's like talking to the camera and he's like, "Oh fuck me, it's Daleks."
And fuck me, and we get the Cult of Skara introduced as a secret order of Daleks, which were programmed or at least set up to think like the enemy. They were given names to design dastardly new forms of weaponry that we don't see necessarily because the Genesis Ark, they nicked off the Time Lords anyway.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. That it feels like they should have made that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, obviously, Time Lord technology. Obviously, that's like meant to throw us, isn't it? When they say, "Oh, it's not Daleks and it's not the Cybermen have built it. It's the Time Lords." Meant to go, but at the end of the day, Daleks have had like dimensionally transcendental spaceships since the Chase, so
it seems like an unnecessary wrinkle to that. It just seems easier if it's just, and also it shows that they're building stuff. Like this is something that we've created, and it's bigger on the inside, dimensionally transcendental. We later find out it contains 10 billion Daleks or something like that.
Why would the Time Lords imprison them anyway? They'd just fucking kill them all.
Just blow them up. Yeah. Very odd. And you can only fit one inside the toy anyway, so it's false marketing.
How dare they?
The Doctor blows the doors off. We have the whole thing with the teaming up of the preachers and Torchwood and the Cybermen. In the mayhem, Mickey touches the Ark and activates it, and they run off. They somehow end up in the basement. I don't know if it's made clear that they end up, I think, in the basement or something, and There's a lovely reunion between Pete and Jackie.
Yeah.
And is it Sean Dingwall, isn't it, that plays Pete?
Yeah.
And Camille Kajuri are fantastic in that scene. It's such a lovely little bit.
I don't care about that. Rich. Lovely.
All that dialogue.
Really, really nice. And the Doctor trying to chip in with his bit of techno babble, and they're like, "Oh, shut up!" And that the look of that nervous anticipation on Billie Piper's face when she's like, "Oh, come on, please, just give me this one thing that I can have a mum and dad again." Very sweet.
It's great.
Yeah.
So during the big fight in the big part of Torchwood, where we were introduced to all the little alien gizmos that they've been hoarding earlier in the episode, the Doctor grabs those anti-gravity clamps. There's a mention of some sort of solar winged craft earlier in the episode, which was supposed to be used to get them from the basement up to the top floor again, but it was deemed too expensive, and so that's why you get Jake going, "Wait, we use that for Galley lift late." And up they go. The Daleks open the Genesis Arc over London as the Doctor, who's been wearing his 3D specs, and I wrote in here, what the fuck is that about? Why have you got those on? And I had to cross it all out when he eventually brought it up. I was like,
remember?
No, I don't remember it.
I can remember at the time watching it, especially for the first episode, and being like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, what is the point in this? Is this...
Because you first see it when he's observing the ghost in the Powell estate.
Yeah, and I was like, is this just him being, just being wacky? So I like the fact that they finally address it and it actually has a proper in-universe reason for why he's doing it. It's not just, oh, I'm quirky. It's, there is an actual explanation behind it.
So there's all this void stuff that is surrounding everybody if they've been in the parallel Earth or in the void. And the Doctor can see it with the 3D glasses. And so he elects to reverse the polarity of the neutron flow, effectively, and
suck them all off.
All of the things covered in void stuff into the breach, strand them in the void, or hell, as they call it. I think there's even a reference, they like say 666 is like one of the codes.
Oh, is it? Okay.
To program it, so obviously implying that the void is actually hell. And obviously we see that Rose is covered in the stuff because she's bounced back and forth between the dimensions.
Between David Tennant. Between David Tennant and Chris Eccleston.
We get the whole thing with Rose being protected by the Doctor from staying there because she'll end up getting sucked into the breach. And so he very kind of morosely kind of puts the thing over her. But the actual like exchange that the Doctor has with her is very curt and matter of fact, considering the fact that they profess their love for each other at the end.
Yeah. But I guess that's
really say much.
That's him putting his barriers up, isn't it? He's like, if I just pretend that, okay, well, it's got to happen, because he doesn't really look at her while he's doing it. He's distracted, isn't he? He's fiddling around with the computer. He can't look her in the eye. And I think that's nice. That's a nice touch. I wonder if that was scripted or whether or not that was something between Graham and David, where they're like, if the Doctor looks at her, then the feelings are going to come out.
Keep her there.
But if I keep that little bit of distance, then I can keep a stern face. But then she pops back anyway. It's a nice reading.
She comes back anyway. But she has this big row. Hey?
He shouts at her as well.
He does.
When she's like, "Oh, what can I do to help?" And he's like, "Put those coordinates in and hurry up." Like, oh,
all right. Should have fucking stayed on Earth. But she is very the whole thing with Jackie. She basically tells her mum, "You're not worth staying around for, even though you're my mum." Yeah. And then the Doctor even goes, "That's your own flesh and blood. That's your mum.
Yeah,
your only mother."
And
she's like, I don't care. I'm following my bits, and I want this to happen. But the way that Jackie's left,
my titties are tingling.
The way that
I hear you make titties tingle. I've heard it through the grapevine that in one of your incarnations you make titties tingle.
Yes. And the way that Jackie falls to bits after Rose leaves, sort of really hammers home. They're like, "Oh, you shit. You ungrateful shit. That's really out of order.
You should be like, oh, fucker. I'll have your millions.
Yeah, I'm happy. I got my riches. We then, when they're resigned to, okay, Rose is staying behind with the Doctor. We then cut to a scene that I think probably should have been put in earlier with Cyber Yvonne Hartman frying oil and blasting the Cybermen in the hallway, which does feel slightly out of touch with the tone of everything else going on around it.
Yeah, it feels somewhat needless, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
I've never... Like, I appreciate, the sentiment behind it, but I don't know.
And it's a continuation of the emotional inhibitor scene from, earlier in Series 2 as well, so I guess it's all part and parcel.
It all works in a way, but... Yeah.
The Doctor opens the breach, sucking in the Daleks and Cybermen. Sek gets out of dodge by activating his emergency temporal shift.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a Cyberman or a Dalek that knocks the control?
Because there is no CGI of Cybermen flying through the window. It's all Daleks. You never see a Cyberman go through, which is really
funny,
interesting.
Because they obviously have the CGI component.
It's very strange, but it is just like a conveyor belt of Daleks. And Annie pointed this out to me. She was like, good luck. Very lucky that the Daleks just happened to fly through the one window into that room.
On the floor below, there's a load of Daleks welded to the ceiling, bumping against it, trying to get up into the room. So the Dalek hits the lever, and Rose is like, shit, we're losing power. And she manages to let go of her anti-grav clamp and grabs onto the lever, but then loses her grip again and plunges into the void. David's performance in that moment, his scream is unbelievable.
He's great.
I mean, from this point on, everybody's performance is on another level.
Yeah.
And Pete warps into Rose's path just in time somehow. God knows how he figured out he needs to be there at that particular time.
Yeah.
And apparently there was a bit of a conversation about who it should be that rescues her. And Noel Clarke and Phil Collinson said it should be Mickey. But Russell argued that Pete being there is him accepting her as his surrogate
his daughter. Yeah. I like that. Well done,
really
Russell.
Really nice bit.
Yeah. What I like about this, but before we get into the nitty-gritty of the emotional stuff.
The deepness.
The deepness of it. So the Daleks and the Cybermen being sucked into the void because of the void stuff.
Yes.
This feels like a resolution for a finale that is naturally woven into the narrative of the story. And it all makes sense. It's simple, isn't it? It's very simple. It all makes sense. They've been in this thing. We're all covered in this stuff. So they get sucked in. Simple. Okay, brilliant. This feels like the last time we get that sort of cohesion in a Russell T Davies finale. Because then next time we have the psychic whiffle waffle, I become Jesus and I maim you, master, and just set time rolling backwards. And then, of course, in the next finale, we have Dr. Donna, and she's just like, I'll just press these buttons and turn the Daleks off because that's how they work. And then, obviously, well, then for the least said about the Sutek business and Omega and the Rani, the better. We'll talked about that ad nauseum. We'll never go over it. So this feels like the last time that you have a resolution to a finale from Russell where it all just fits together and it all seems logical. And even Series 1, Series 1 works. Yeah. The Bad Wolf thing, it all feels like it's all paid off in a good way. So, yeah, good for him.
It's almost innocent, isn't it, in the way that it tells its story. It's very, very simple. It doesn't need callbacks to episodes that are 60 years old. You don't need to have even really been watching the earlier episodes of this season to get what's going on. Yeah, it's all very clear and very, it's laid out for you. It's very tight. And it's just as well because I think any muddying plot-wise of these elements would have taken away from why we're all here and why this episode is so fondly remembered. We've talked about this before, I think. And I'm sure in this instance, a lot of it is to do with our memories of watching it go out, as opposed to when we've talked about Genesis of the Daleks and like Earthshock or certain episodes where you feel like something big is going to happen and that we're building to something.
Yeah.
And we can't really attest to those earlier examples.
No.
Because we weren't around then.
Yeah.
But certainly, obviously, you've got Rose's monologue at the start talking about this is the story of how I died and all that kind of stuff. And then Pete catches Rose, takes her back to his parallel dimension.
Yeah.
And what we get is, I think, probably the most emotional moment in Doctor Who ever. Yeah. And everybody plays a blinder. Billie Piper is sensational. Yeah. Right through the rest of this story, and especially all the stuff on Bad Wolf Beach, which we'll get to in a bit.
Yeah.
David is great, his sort of stoicism. Although I believe that there was a cut shot of him leaving Torchwood blubbing, like in proper tears.
Oh, really? Okay.
Which I'm glad they cut. And it's given so much time as well. All the shots panning across, the parallel Earth gang of Pete and Mickey and all that lot. Jackie stood there watching on as Rose is pounding against this, pardon the term, pounding against this wall. Yeah. The Doctor's on the other side. Do you think they actually can feel something on the other side of that wall? Because there is a slight moment of recognition from Rose that she can almost sort of sense he's doing the same thing on the other side.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Or maybe it's like wishful thinking. Also, props to Murray Gold, who, with his Doomsday score, what an absolute blinder. Obviously, it's been used earlier it was used in Rose when she first enters the TARDIS, but this version of the theme of that piece of music, is incredibly powerful.
Unbelievable.
It's so good. What a blinder.
Every time I listen to it on the soundtrack, every time I listen to it on that soundtrack CD, it brings back that moment. It broke an entire generation's hearts, that scene. And, minus the empty child, the gas mask kid, the weeping angels, the first time the Daleks came back.
Kid. Sounds like a Karen boy.
the gas mask kid. He's riding into town. Minus all of that, this, I think, cements Doctor Who as like, this is a fucking big show, this. It's not just about the pomp and circumstance and the CGI and the action and the adventure. It's like, we can actually tell deeply emotional stories. Yeah. And it's never been done like this again. And I don't think anyone's really tried, No. No one's ever tried to do a Doomsday.
No. I don't think you could either.
I don't think you can. It's singular in the way in how effective it is, and in that story that's been told through the year. Even I suppose in series 1 to a degree, with Rose getting to know the Doctor, although obviously it's a different incarnation. It just can only exist with David and Billy and these two stories and that run. There's no other way you can do this again.
And I was going to say they struck gold. I guess with Billie Piper, because she manages to find, not only obviously she's got a connection with David Tennant's Doctor, but she had that connection with Christopher Eccleston's Doctor. And, it really does feel like it's the same man. You can almost, watching this episode, you almost sort of forget that Christopher Eccleston was the Doctor, because it just feels like these two have been together forever. Yeah. Because that emotional crux just flows through both series so well across, two different actors. It's excellent. Did you cry?
I can't say enough good things about it, but what did you say?
Did you cry at the
cry,
time?
Did you?
Cry, did you?
I didn't. On broadcast, I did. Definitely. And I think on rewatches when I was younger, I did.
Yeah. I didn't this
then.
time. No. Yeah. I think because I was taking notes and things, I was slightly detached from what was going on. But certainly the last time I watched it, when I did my big run through, I got a bit choked up.
Yeah. It's everything works. And I think it's the confidence as well of giving it that space and knowing this will work because of all the effort they've put in before this and the work they're doing now to sell it. How long that shot is where they pan across Pete's gang while Rose is sort of reacting. And you think, I think anybody else, if they weren't sure this was going to work, would have cut away a lot quicker. But it is just left to linger and they just know that they've got us. It's so good.
It's really so good.
So then we fade to black and we come back up. Rose is having a wet dream. She can hear the doctor whispering sweet nothings into her ear. She tells everybody, I've been having this dream and I think we need to go to this place.
Need to clean the sheets again.
I want to ask, why does billionaire Pete insist on driving his banged up Jeep all the way to Norway rather than getting on a fucking private jet?
Yeah.
Oh, do they have planes? They have the blimps, don't they?
Oh.
But are they allowed to? What was up with that world? They just not have that kind of technology, or what was going on?
Yeah, weird. It's very strange. I do laugh at that bit when she's telling the story of the dream to Mum, Dad, and Mickey, and you've got that panning shot across, and they're there just going. Just nodding. It always makes me laugh. I can imagine them as actors being sat there thinking, okay, just keep nodding. Agree with what she said. Oh yeah, I'm listening. Yeah. I'm listening. Yeah,
I'm nodding, and then occasionally checking the monitor in the corner of their eye, going, "Is it off me yet? Is it off me? Can I stop nodding?"
Yeah.
So they drive all the way to Norway to this beach, which translates as Bad Wolf Bay. All of Billy's line readings in this are they are heart-wrenching and they're so real. And, even the way that she kind of half laughs, half breaks up again at saying it translates as Bad Wolf Bay is the kind of final irony of look at this, it's
all been leading to this, hasn't it? Yeah.
All been leading to this. Yeah. The Doctor's projecting himself on the beach from the TARDIS.
Yeah.
He's burning up a star just to say goodbye. I feel terribly sorry for the inhabitants of the planet nearby that star's about to go supernova and wipe them out, but fuck them. The Doctor's got to get his final message to Rose. Yeah. They've got 2 minutes to say everything they ever wanted to say. And so Rose decides to break the news to the Doctor that Jackie's pregnant. Yeah. Risky at her age.
And that's what I thought. I was like, she shouldn't be. That's a recipe for disaster. The Doctor, I also like the Doctor when he's like, you're dead. Back home, you're dead. It's like, wow, okay. Thanks, Doc. Nice. I love that bit when he's like, you're not, when we're back to the pregnancy thing, and he's like, well, you're not. And it's almost like, oh, that pang of like, oh, not with it.
I could have sworn I wore protection. You told me I had a coil.
Has he got a northern accent or a Cockney accent? That's what we need to ascertain here.
Is he bald as fuck, or has he got a good head of hair on him?
What are the ears like? Big? FA Cup? Oh, come on.
10 tries to set up a spin-off which goes nowhere.
Yes.
Rose Tyler, Defender of Earth.
God, fuck me. They were just chucking anything out. Anyone, weren't they? You have a spin-off.
You've done the legwork of setting up Torchwood, and now you're trying to get another one going. Fucking, priorities here.
I'm surprised we didn't have, At Home with the Tylers. Just what's going on with heavily pregnant Jackie Tyler and Pete.
Would have loved that. That would have been a great show.
Yeah.
I can't say enough good things about Billie Piper. She's just unbelievable. Yeah. She tells the Doctor she loves him. I'm not sure I like the quite right to.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, fucking get on with it. You've not got a lot of time to say what you want to say.
Yeah.
And he's about to say it, and then he vanishes, and Jackie, runs up to her daughter because, she loves her. But if I was Jackie, I'd have thought twice about that. But you were about to fucking leave me on my own, stranded on a parallel Earth with a bloke I don't know. Yeah. Forget the fact he looks like my late husband. I don't know him. And that's that. The Doctor's left on his own in the TARDIS. And,
until...
bang, there she is.
The bride.
The bride, as she's credited.
Interesting. Yeah. Oh, what a shock.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Overall, there's a few clunky moments, but I would really struggle to fault this on the whole.
Yeah.
The performances make it. Amazing music, a few really nice bits of direction.
Yeah.
And a really well-paced script.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the dialogue, because it's just trying to be economical with getting through the story to get to the main point, where it all comes to a head. And all of that is written so beautifully at the end, but it's really well paced.
Yes.
And nothing feels rushed. Everything is earned. And when they get to those moments, they milk it, but not for too long.
Yeah.
And I can't say enough good things about this story. Obviously there's a few clunky bits, but I think we're at a point now where we have to acknowledge those first two season finales are the best that Doctor Who ever gave us. And I think you're absolutely right in saying that, not that there's a rot that sets in at this point, but from after series 2, but with the finales, they do become far too convoluted for their own good. Yeah. And just because it's a finale doesn't mean you have to, the stakes in this and in the previous finale are obviously massive.
Yeah.
But it gets a bit too bleak or navel gazing and a bit too introspective when it should be big mass scale adventure disaster that you've got to fix. And if something happens at the end that gives you an emotional trigger or a hook, then that's great. But you have to have earned that through the season. And I don't know if Doctor Who will ever earn it in this way again and execute it in the way that it does in this. It's massively done.
Yeah, this is it. Like, you feel like I guess they try and do it with the next one, with the Master finale, where, it's all fine, but Martha Jones is leaving. But as much as I love Martha Jones, she has not got that relationship with the Doctor like Billie Piper's Rose Tyler has to make you have that impact. You sort of get there a bit with Donna Noble, and that's only because they've sort of really gone, let's give her like a really horrible way to get rid of her. That if her mind's wiped and then her head's going to blow up if she remembers him again, which counts for nothing, as we later find out. So there does feel like there's an element of like, we need to be bigger than last time. How do we get bigger than the one before that? And I think you're right. It doesn't need to be that. Because I think the stakes are probably higher in the previous finale than this one in some ways.
But it's more like the stakes are higher in the previous one, but the scale of what we're witnessing from like a fan perspective of it's Daleks versus Cybermen.
Yeah.
So maybe scale is the wrong word, but you know what I mean? The kind of the setup or the hook or the selling point is bigger. Yeah. But it just it zips along as well. It doesn't wait to fill us with lore or callbacks. All that stuff is really economically done. Yeah. And it knows where it's heading. And I think that's the trouble with finales and, sort of stories generally that don't necessarily, they're not executed as well as they could have been, is that you don't really get a sense that people know where this is going halfway through the story. But that, it's always going to lead to this with this two-parter.
Yes. Yeah. This is very clear. You know what you're going to get. And like even though this is the story of how I died, even though that sort of resolution is like, oh, okay, it's a bit of a cop out because you didn't actually die, but you kind of died because in the real world you're dead. You can sort of gloss past that
It's fine.
That's all right. It doesn't. Yeah, that it doesn't impact it in the same way as, say, someone suddenly got a baby and then suddenly someone's a stay-at-home mum all of a sudden, or whatever was going on. She wasn't a stay-at-home mum, was she? She was a hardworking mother.
Hardworking mum.
Hardworking single mother.
Right. Let's have a look at what people have said online. Make me an offer, James says, there is something absolutely crucial about the way these two episodes feel like they're happening in the present real world down the end of your street. It's a look, feel, and texture that slowly evaporates during New Who once RTD leaves, but then is surprisingly absent in RTD2, where it's all 4K schmaltz. This is an era that doesn't shy away from ugly real-life design choices and casts soap actors in key roles. The most accessible the show has ever been. Simple, bold, and fantastic. So, fantastic comment there.
It's brilliant.
Michael Allsop, enjoyable, but it would have been amazing if it was a 3-parter, with part 1 pretty much being the exact same. Then you have part 2 dedicated to the Daleks fighting the Cybermen, so to make it feel more extensive. Then over part 2 and 3, you have the Cybermen whittle down the cult of Skaro to just Sec, so you actually give the Cybermen a fighting chance before Dalek Sec unleashes the Genesis arc and the story ends as it normally did. I think, like we were sort of saying, and obviously, there is a sense of nostalgia for us over this story that we have to acknowledge when we say, I don't think it could have been done any better. But I think adding another part to this would have prolonged and therefore probably taken away from how shattering that final moment is. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I think it's perfect as it is. Don't touch it.
Daniel Henshaw, my rose has left me. I'm in a mood. Very good. She went to Pete's World with the bloke from CBBC. Ethan for Fandon. Never disliked it, but oddly enough, despite having both the Daleks and Cybermen, I've never come back to it. I think emotionally it's an important finale, but other than that, I would take any other finale over this one. Again, not because it's bad, it just doesn't do much for me. Okay, I'd probably prefer to watch this over the most recent 2, but still. C.S. Waters, Murray Gold, Cooked. Joe Dobson, it doesn't hold a candle to Bad Wolf Parting of the Ways. Pretty standard RTD stencil finale, but hits all the targets. Felt like the same stencil was used for RTD2 and might have done the job had they not had complications. Ruben Lane, one of my favourite episodes in the whole franchise. Nostalgia obviously plays a massive part, but I always choose this one to watch when I'm stuck for an ep. And the last one, from Long in the Moment. I remember watching this going out at the time. I was so excited we were going to get Daleks versus Cybermen. Torchwood was introduced brilliantly in the series, having little nods and subtle hints in various episodes, and now we finally get the actual introduction. It's a great payoff. This is how you set up a spin-off series. I remember watching this with no knowledge of Billie Piper leaving. All in all, a great 2-parter. And I think that's it. We've said everything we can say about it. I want to be able to say more and articulate myself properly, but I do think nostalgia plays too heavy a part in my ability to sort of explain the way that it makes me feel, because there's no other Doctor Who like it.
No, not at all. And I think, the only criticism we've basically found of it is that watching it, 20 years later, is it looks a bit creaky in places.
That looks like it's made of wood.
That looks like it's made of wood. That looks like it's a foam wall that's about to blow up, and things like that. Things that we adore about classic Doctor Who. And it's, in a way, I love seeing stuff like this in the new series, because it makes you go, you know what? It might be 20 years later, or however long, and it might be, it had such a big budget and everyone was like, God, the creaky sets aren't there anymore. But actually, if you look close enough, the paint's still wet in places, and the walls do shake a little.
Has not been given a nice brush down before he's on camera. No. They need a wet rag over him, because even in SD, he looks sort of like mucky.
Yeah, it's like fingerprint marks, isn't it, where he's been pushed around.
And sawdust and shit.
Yeah, it's like, this feels like an old Doctor Who. This feels like an old Dalek that's been wheeled out of the cupboard. And
this is the lovely thing, isn't it, about it all coming full circle, like we were talking about when we were together. That feeling of, Doctor Who changes for you when we were lovers. That feeling that, Doctor Who changes for you as you get older, and you watch it in a different way. And, we're watching Army of Ghosts Doomsday in the same way that, 50-year-old Jeff watches Earthshock, for that kind of emotional, moment.
Yeah.
And
Adric's death on a par with Rose Tyler's.
Not quite the same thing, is it?
No.
But I was going to ask you, what would you score this? And I would, my old, rod hat on, with my old rod hat on, I would shudder to say the number that I would give this out loud back then. But now, I don't care. I don't care that, in theory, if I do say that this is a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, I'm putting this on a pedestal with Earthshock, The Five Doctors, Genesis, The Daleks, Tomb of the Cybermen.
Yeah.
Because for years, as Doctor Who fans of our generation, they are so different, and never the twain shall meet. You can't compare one to the other.
Yeah.
But you absolutely can, because the emotional resonance and meaning of it for us is different. And so it's a slightly different 10 out of 10 because it's coming from a different place.
Yeah.
But I think this is a 10 out of 10.
Really? 10 out of 10? My God. I was going to give it 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
I mean, it's excellent. But then I wouldn't give any...
That's the nostalgia talking.
Yeah, I wouldn't give any classic series story 10 out of 10. I wouldn't give Pyramids of Mars 10 out of 10, and that's my favourite Doctor Who.
Wow.
So, I always say, I'll give it a 9. There's always something, I think, that, maybe there's room for improvement. But yeah, no, this is brilliant. And like you said, it's a different 8 out of 10 compared to, comparing it to something else. But yeah, it's fantastic. It's Doctor Who at its peak. This was the golden age for the show's revival. And do you think we'll ever see days like this again?
All downhill from here, everybody.
Yeah.
There we go. That was
I love Series 3. Series 3 is fucking fantastic. I love Series 3. Apart from the finale, the Series 3 is a real strong one for me. 1 and 3, top of the pops.
Yeah, I agree. I still think that team of Rose and the 10th Doctor does set all of Series 2 apart from, stuff around it. So it although in viewing figure terms, this got 8.19, 8.22 on overnights.
Wow.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
It's not, it would go up from there, which is kind of crazy to think. And so when we think of Doctor Who's golden age, it is almost looped in with, Series 4, Series 3 were the kind of upper limits, echelons of Doctor Who's viewing figures. Yeah. But I think creatively, considering what we were saying about where the finales go from here, I think this is its peak. Yeah. Is this two-parter.
Yeah, it's incredibly good. Yeah. Brilliant. No notes.
Right. No notes. And now we've got to turn
that fishing wire.
Apart from the fishing wire getting...
And the Cyberman gun noise.
It's still Doctor Who, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's still Doctor Who. So we have done Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. That is a huge one. Knocked off the list. We're going to keep the old series finale theme rolling. We're going to go right back to Series 7.
Yes!
Season 7, excuse me, how dare I.
Yes.
With a review of Inferno. So
fantastic.
it would have been on the Patreon. People would have seen the idea was to do the season finale rankings. We're going to move that to a slightly bigger date, which we'll announce soon. And then plenty more to come on the old regular end of the podcast. Plus, we've got the Toffolo collection tour, which I'm sure everybody's very excited to see.
Yeah.
And also an in-vision commentary, which we've never done before, but we did it while we were together. Yeah. So that'll be great. I'm looking forward to doing that one.
Yes, so there you go. There's a lot of cool stuff coming out on the Patreon in the future. So check that out. And thank you to everyone who are patrons already. Thank you for your support. And Thank you for everyone watching and listening to the Review of Death. And yeah, we'll see you next time for another big story. Literally, it's 7 bloody episodes long. It's Inferno.
See you
Get
then.
watching, Billy. Come on. There's no time like the present.
Crack on.
Crack on with it. Right, we'll see you all then. Ta-ra. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.